When you don't grow up in the best neighborhood, you have to have something to kind of like, to stand your ground. So for me, it was sports. I started playing basketball at a really young age, and I think that's where my competitive spirit came from.
A little bit more, just get into why Cydcor, why this business?
To me, there wasn't any alternative of like other than sticking it out. I've never quit anything in my life. Early on, I remember I did see people quitting. Like I said, this is my first real job. I was 22 when I started, and I saw people leave, and I think they were probably experiencing the same adversity and challenges that I was. But to me, when I saw people leave, it didn't really entice me to also want to follow them. It actually enticed me to want to stay, because there's something that kind of, survival of the fittest. I knew that if I can just outlast and if I can have more stamina than other people, that I'm going to succeed.
Welcome back to Conversations with Vera. I'm really excited. I get to interview somebody I've worked with for a long time, somebody I consider my friend, Elijah Medge, very adoringly known as E. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Nervous?
No.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'm going to throw you a softball. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So similar to you, I'm Eastern European. I'm originally from Russia. So after the USSR broke up, we came over on asylum as refugees, moved to Birmingham, Alabama originally. I think we were the first Russians ever to move to the South, and we didn't have any family, didn't know the language. So, I think when you move at an early age, as I'm sure you know, you kind of learn how to assimilate early on, you learn how to adapt early on, which was a really helpful skill that later on obviously helped in this business. Lived there for a few years, then moved to Miami, grew up in Miami, South Florida. Went to Florida State for college, studied psychology and economics. I had a full ride academic scholarship after school, didn't really know what I was going to do, and had my resume online. Now, I'm an artist by trade, so I was doing some graphic design, like freelance and whatnot. And when they called me in, they said, "Hey, it's a marketing role." And I thought, all right, well, I'm going to go in and just do more design work and whatnot. And the first thing I remember Julie said in the interview is like, "Hey, we don't do any graphic design." And I'm thinking in my head, like, why am I here? And it was also my first interview ever in my career. And then she talks about, we go out, we talk to people, we do marketing and whatnot. And I have no clue what she's talking about. So the next day I go out and I shadow somebody in South Florida, which, South Miami, which is essentially South America. I know habla, and I have no idea what's going on all day. This guy's walking around, everyone's like very friendly, and in the middle of the day explains the business to me. And once again, my first interview, he just explains, hey, there's an opportunity, there's a growth path, you can make a lot of money, I have no other options on the table. And I'm mortified to talk to strangers, but once again, I have no other options, and I saw that this is probably the challenge that I need. So if, these guys give me an opportunity, then I should take it, and they did, and that's kind of my story. So
okay, I'm going to go back a little just
Sure.
because I'm really interested. So who came to Alabama?
So it was my father, my mother, and my brother and I.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then why there?
Yeah, so we were sponsored by a federation. So it was random. They sponsored different families from Russia to move over. We're Jewish, so they were finding different places to kind of put people in America. And thankfully, we were on the list, I think, for about 2 years until they finally, gave us the green light to move over.
Okay, and then full ride scholarship. You also play ball.
Yeah.
So when did that start? Because I know you still do, right?
Yeah, I play basketball. I grew up in not the best area in South Florida. Growing up as an immigrant, like you start from scratch. We didn't have any money or anything like that, so I saw my parents really kind of create a life for us. So when you don't grow up in the best neighborhood, you have to have something to kind of like, to stand your ground. So for me, it was sports. I started playing basketball at a really young age, and I think that's where my competitive spirit came from. And it was fun, and thankfully I became tall enough to get a chance to play. And it was always been my opportunity to be competitive and have fun and push myself and stay athletic and whatnot. So
and you still play?
Yeah, to this day, yeah, every weekend. Yeah, I invested actually in a pickup basketball gym downtown LA called Crosscourt.
Okay.
I'm one of the minority investors there, and super fun, and I love it.
Yeah, I like watching you on social. I'll watch somebody will post something, and I'm like, man, he's good.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so a little bit more. Just get into why Cydcor, why this business, why stick it out, why go all the way.
I don't know. So to me, there wasn't any alternative of like other than sticking it out. I've never quit anything in my life. Early on, I remember I did see people quitting. Like I said, this is my first real job. I was 22 when I started, and I saw people leave, and I think they were probably experiencing the same adversity and challenges that I was. But to me, when I saw people leave, it didn't really entice me to also want to follow them. It actually enticed me to want to stay, because there's something that kind of arose in me in terms of like survival of the fittest. And I knew that if I can just outlast and if I can have more stamina than other people, that I'm going to succeed. I'm a logic guy. Like, it has to, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, right? It's like geometry, right? The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So if this is a trajectory, if I just stick it out long enough, then I'm going to make it. It's entry level. Entry level is never going to be a dream job. Otherwise, everybody would want entry level. So, I just kind of accepted, the reality, surrendered myself to the experience. Like I said, I've never quit anything in my life, so why start now?
I love that. I wish I could say that, well, life in general, but definitely entrepreneurship. There are challenges you face. There are things that you go through. What were some of the biggest ones, and what were your lessons learned?
So for me, I think personally, I'm extremely introverted. And that just means like, I gain energy from isolation and just not being around people. So I need a lot of alone time, and, our business has a strong social dynamic to it. It's a lot about relationship building. It's a lot about connecting with people, which is just a very foreign concept to me just in general. And I realized that early on. I realized, okay, like my livelihood in this business is going to be heavily dependent on being someone that's completely, I have never been before. But at the same time, it's meritocracy. It's based on my performance. So I'm willing to put on like that coat of armor every single day and go to battle, as long as I can go home and take it off and just go back to my original form. So I think my biggest challenge was developing that new exterior every single day, and building that business version of myself, and learning how to connect with people and communicate with people, and all those comfort zones, like going out and talking to strangers was, like I said, extremely mortifying till this day. And I think people ask me often, well, how did you get over that? And I don't think I ever got over that. I think I just accepted, well, this is who I am. I think it was just a matter of self-awareness and accepting who you are and just being comfortable in your own skin. So that was one of the biggest challenges for me, just learning how to be comfortable. This is who I am. This is a challenge I'll probably have for the rest of my life, but the outcome that I want is greater than the challenge that I'm facing, and focusing more on that. And then I think my big, it's about finding a purpose. So my purpose early on was like, I want to be a champion, for introverted people. I wanted to show that introverted people can become successful in an industry that's dependent highly on communication.
Right.
Where a lot of people that come into this industry, they feel very inhibited. They're like, I don't know if I can do this because of my personality. And I tell them, well, you can't be that obsessed with your personality where you're going to restrict yourself from succeeding. You just got to accept who you are and just still go for it. So
has it gotten easier over time?
In certain aspects. I mean, yeah, from public speaking, this is 10,000 hours. I've run meetings every day. I've done 50,000 interviews. So, intuition builds up. Certain things become second nature. You definitely get on autopilot with a lot of things, but certain things, especially like the initial component of it, sometimes not so much. But once you get in the flow of things, it smooths out for sure. So
how do you think you've evolved, like personally, professionally over time? So we have which is so funny because I just went on a silent retreat.
How was that?
It was wild, and I'm so opposite.
Yeah.
Move, go, talk, move, noise. So I just think that's an interesting, like the exact opposite.
Sounds serene, yeah.
It was very serene. But just as you think about yourself, hey, what are my biggest growth points? Or I've evolved in this way.
Yeah, I think as far as in terms of like how I feel like I've grown the most.
Yeah. Personally, professionally.
I've always thought like I'm more destined for like something with analytics and data and sitting behind a computer and turning into like human version of ChatGPT or something. So I feel like I've grown, and I'm very proud of the fact that I've been able to step into a role where I'm in a position of influence, where I'm able to help guide and direct young people and helping them make good decisions in their lives. I love that. That's the thing that fires me up the most, is being able to put people on the right pathway to make decisions that are going to serve them in the long run. That's where I feel like I've really grown, is being able to communicate in a way that really clicks with people, by understanding what they're looking for, understanding how to speak a common language, understanding how to listen to them and empathize and be kind, but still direct and still to the point where, I'm honest with them. So just communication overall, which has never been my strong suit previous to, this experience. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to get a chance to communicate every single day.
Is that what you love the most, how you impact people's lives?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what drives me, my ability to influence people.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you stay focused on your development? How do you think about, okay, how do I keep myself growing and developing and getting better?
I forgot who I heard this from, but like whenever you step into a room, you realize there's a door to the next room. So there's so many people that are so much further ahead and have accomplished so much, and I'm always looking up. And so I think to a certain extent it's probably a big problem, but I'm never feeling like satisfied. But I think that's just a component of being a high achiever. So personal development for me comes from just constantly seeking out guidance, support. I always have this intellectual curiosity. I'm always asking questions to people that have accomplished more. How would they handle certain situations? I'm never too prideful to ask for advice and support and feedback on my decisions. Like I was talking about promoting one the other day. I'm like, I have no idea if this is a good decision. I'm like, oh, you probably don't. Like, I have no idea. But what would you do? How would you handle it? Thankfully, I'm in this CEO forum group, Vistage, I'm sure you're familiar with, which is a great experience because I get to, on a monthly basis, surround myself with 12 to 16 other CEOs of completely different industries. And some of these guys are running, $250 million businesses, and I'm like the little kid in the group, and I'm learning so much from them and how they handle challenges and different, struggles in their business. So I just always try to surround myself with people that are far more successful than I am, and just, it's easier for me to be the quietest person in the room and just absorb information and listen and think about that and process it and then see how I can apply it to, what I'm doing. So I'm always trying to like soak in as much as possible just through osmosis. So.
How long have you been a part of Vistage?
I think it's been 7 years now.
And it's really impactful.
Yeah, because I think, we have these blinders on, and then once you start talking to other executives from other businesses, you realize everybody deals with the same stuff. Everyone's annoyed with turnover. Everyone's annoyed with competitors. Everyone's struggling with like government regulations and whatnot. And it's very liberating, and you feel like so much more at peace. Like, okay, this is not just me. Whether you're running a lemonade stand, a dry cleaner, gas station, it's all the same. So I think there's a huge advantage to creating surrounding yourself with entrepreneurs from all different industries, because it just makes you realize that business is just business. Entrepreneurship is just solving problems. It's just about, creating a team of people that are all working together for the same goal, and all the issues are the same anywhere you go. So you might as well solve them in a business that's fun, where you get a lot of support, where there's the demands exceeding the supply, so the economics are in our favor.
Yeah, I like the way you explain that too, because I do think sometimes we're in our own little echo chamber.
Yeah. Right,
and we just hear. But then getting the outside perspective, I've been a part of YPO actually for 7 years, and it's the same for me. It was big, it was eye-opening. Who do you think has been the most influential person in your life? Who's taught you the most, or mentored you the most, or just inspired you?
I think different stages of my life were different, but I think Gary's probably played the biggest role, just from someone that I aspire from a personal, professional standpoint, the way he values family, his conservative views, in terms of how he raises his kids and how traditional he is, and just once again, just his values overall, levels of integrity, how much people aspire to be like him and emulate, his quality of life, and that's the quality of life I want to create for myself and for my family, and I think he's probably, up there. So
I love that. I used to say I want to be like Gary Paulson when I grow up. Yeah, that was my, and then I was like, I'm not going to be. He's a dude. Why do you think that people choose this career over maybe more traditional careers? And what kind of people thrive in this environment? You touched on this a little earlier.
So I think, there's a few different types of people. So, and it's interesting because I have people in my office that come from a ton of affluence, right? Like their parents run an extremely successful business. They can do anything. They went to really good schools, they were privileged, they have everything handed to them, and they still choose to do this. And for them, it's because, they want to make their parents proud. Their parents set a good example for them. They built, great business themselves, and they don't want to fall, they don't want to go down a nepotism path. They want to build something for themselves. but they understand the importance of entrepreneurship and like the business clicks with them. So for them, it's just more about just making their parents proud. For, you know, I have all those also people in my office that come from nothing. You know, they had to put their siblings through school, and they have to, you know, send money to their parents overseas somewhere, and they have to do this because this is all they have. This is their only choice. They didn't go to university, so they see this as like their only shot at creating a great life for themselves. You know, I think the field's a great equalizer. You know, so it doesn't matter what your background is. We're very indiscriminate as far as who we bring in. So I think people that choose our business are ones that really understand the bigger picture and how it's tethered solely to them and their performance. So, you know, their effort, their attitude, their work ethic, their attitude, and not to any outside factors, really. So people that believe in themselves, people that take pride in having control over their destiny, I think those are the people that choose to follow this path. And people that have high levels of accountability, you know, they're gonna see the bigger picture, because, you know, once again, like, the demand's exceeding supply. Our clients want to fill these markets. Someone that understands that, hey, all these markets have to be filled. Someone's gonna have to run them. These people have to be vetted through our, you know, organic training program, and the people that get there and succeed, they're going to make, you know, great money. They're going to have tons of freedom in terms of doing what they want when they want, but they just have to earn it. So if they feel confident in their own abilities and confident in the guidance and support and mentorship of the person they work with, they're going to go all the way.
I've never heard it explained like that. I
Yeah.
like it. Okay, I have another one for you.
Sure.
How would you explain the model?
Oh, like that.
Yeah.
I try to explain the business from the client's perspective, but the bottom line is, like, I just try to explain to all my interviews, or, you know, the people that I've already hired, like, look, companies need customers. That's just the bottom line. Like, I explain the business simplistic form. Like, it's a bucket, there's holes. As long as there's more water coming in than what's seeping out, you know, the business is going to thrive. And if more water is seeping out than it's coming in, the business is going to go out of business. Every business is the same way. So now, the reason most businesses go out of business is, you know, CAC, like customer acquisition costs. So every business is going to want to lower their customer acquisition costs as much as possible. They're going to find the most efficient ways to do that. And we're an amazing solution. So the problem is, for most companies, how do we bring in the most amount of customers, the lowest possible cost, with the most effective strategy? And thankfully, we are the solution for that problem. So that's the problem we're solving for the biggest brands out there. And you know, that's a great solution. And because we've been able to be such a great solution for the current markets we're in, we've had opportunity to fill more markets. Mm-hmm. I don't really compete with other companies that offer salary, because equity to me is substantially greater. And then the client gets to fill a market where now they get to generate revenue, where before they haven't been able to do that. So everybody wins all around. So I think the best business models is, you know, our models where it's symbiotic, where everybody wins. And I think that our business definitely does that.
Okay, I'm gonna go to fun. You ready?
Yeah.
Rapid fire fun. All-time favorite book, movie, song.
Okay. Favorite book, fiction or nonfiction?
I don't care. You can do both.
Fiction's probably Catcher in the Rye. Favorite movie, it depends on the mood. It's either going to be Groundhog Day, Matrix, or Gladiator. Or
They're so different.
I know.
They're so different. Okay.
And then favorite song. I don't have a favorite song.
Okay, what are you listening to right now? Like, what's your...
Right now? Well, probably Roof is the Soul.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could time travel to any era for one day, where and when would you go?
Time travel, probably Renaissance era.
Where would you go?
Italy. Meet Leonardo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do you have a hidden talent or skill that people might not know about? You can't say basketball because we talked about it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I came from design. I used to draw. I don't think a lot of people know that. So I still try to sketch with the 5 seconds of free time I have a week, but that's probably it.
Do you draw with the kids?
I try to, yeah, whenever I get time, yeah.
That's cool.
I enjoy that.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Well, is eating sweets a guilty pleasure?
Sure. I mean,
So I stopped eating sugar last January because it's my guilty pleasure.
All sugar?
All added sugar. Yeah.
Wow.
Because like I have diabetes in my family, so I'm like, all right, because I'm all or nothing. So I'm like, all right, okay. But I'm very big on discipline, so I'm like, I'm just gonna cut it all out. So.
Okay, no more sweets.
Yeah.
What's one thing on your bucket list that you're determined to accomplish?
So I'm a travel junkie. So as of 2018, they mapped out the 8th continent of Zealandia, which is 95% submerged. Part that sticks out is New Zealand, so now I gotta go to New Zealand to check off the 8th continent. Yeah. So I was on Australia. If I would have known that when I went there, I would have gone to both. Now I have to make another trip there. So.
Okay. If you could have a superpower for one day, what would it be? How would you use it?
I would fly. I don't know. I'd use it. Just fly around and.
In LA, that would be a great superpower.
No traffic. Just laugh at people. Losers.
Oh my God! If you're stranded on a desert island, what 3 items would you have with you?
3 items. Okay. Probably need a Swiss Army knife. Journal.
Okay.
Wilson volleyball. Seems like my
Right.
companion.
Kept him alive for
Yeah.
sure. Tom Hanks made it through.
Companionship, yeah.
Well, that was great. I thank you for sharing with us.
No problem. Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed this. I did learn some things.
I
This is like
appreciate
so fun for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much.